Chapter 65 The Miserable Ingenue. I will use my secret method right away and contact my cousin. The young woman smiled slightly and said something to the 7 people in the group. He sat cross-legged. I am about to use the secret method of race to contact my cousin far away in China. However, boom. With an explosion, the door of the villa fell down. A group of heavily armed American soldiers violently broke in, led by 2 extraordinary beings wearing the uniforms of the chosen ones. One of them, his eyes were shining, as if he had activated some secret skill. It's her, the 002 imitator. Exclamations rang out. All American soldiers acted as if they were facing a formidable enemy, and aimed at her accurately with various weapons. Get down on the ground. Hold your head with both hands. I'll give you 3 seconds. If you don't get down, I'll kill you. The roars sounded one after another. The young woman looked at this scene blankly. Her face turned pale with fear. Why was it discovered again? 3, 2, 1. When the opponent is counting down, she quickly calculated the combat power of both sides in her mind, and finally lay on the ground obediently. A pair of all-alloy shackles cuffed her hands. Sir, the mission has been completed. Another chosen one took out a communication device and dialed a certain phone number. 3 hours later, the United States Department of Defense. In a sealed room made entirely of superalloy, Ingenue slowly opened her eyes. I just feel sore and weak all over. A medical staff member in a white coat walked toward her, holding an oversized steel syringe in his hand. At least 200 milliliters of fluid was injected into her body. Every 10 minutes, give her another injection of energy disintegrating agent. Jobs walked in slowly and gave instructions to the medical staff, subsequently looking seriously at the beautiful young woman lying on the ground. Although the other party's youth is exposed, charming, but he didn't have the slightest idea. Instead, he said with a cold face, "Your surname is Yen?" The words just fell. Ingenue's pupils shrank, but she quickly calmed down. Looking aggrieved, he said, "Sir, why can't I understand what you were saying?" "Stop pretending." Jobs sneered, "You guys, you idiots, using my human technology to create a group chat, do you really think we can't detect it? This information was captured and submitted by the FBI under the Department of Defense. Network monitoring has always been their top priority in the United States, especially after the monsters arrived. Any content that discusses Chinese, monster, race and other information will be captured and screened by FBI intelligence personnel. Therefore, that's why this targeted arrest operation took place. Unfortunately, except for Ingenue, the 7 people in that group are all in other countries. You guys, doesn't the United States claim to respect the privacy and human rights of its citizens the most? It actually does such despicable methods. Ingenue's face was full of shock and shame. Her level is too low, and it takes a lot of energy to use racial secrets to communicate with her own race, and exchange at most 1 or 2 sentences. It is far less convenient than using group chat, but, as a newbie to the technology system, she didn't expect that there would be such tricks as river crab, mythical beast, and network supervision. Since I've been caught by you, I'll kill or behead him as you please. She gritted her teeth and stared at Jobs resentfully. If I wanted to kill you, I would have killed you on the spot. Jobs looked calm and said coldly, "Now, let me ask and you answer. What is your real name?" In the interrogation room, there was silence. "Very good, it seems that you are unwilling to explain without resorting to any means." A cold light flashed in Jobs' eyes and he waved his hand. The medical staff behind him immediately stepped forward. A syringe full of potion he instilled into Ingenue's body. A few minutes later, painful wails echoed in the confined space, incredibly miserable. 2 hours later, an interrogation report was placed on Jobs' desk. Minister, the 002 imitator was recruited, but only partial information was obtained. I still can't ask about the civilized trial part. After the civilization trial is opened, they in the United States captured many monsters and tried to pry open their mouths, learn more about trials of civilization, but, somehow, there seems to be an invisible rule, restrained all monsters. They were unable to tell any information about the civilization trial. If you say it forcibly or write it down in writing, you will die suddenly on the spot. Jobs nodded. He took the interrogation materials and quickly flipped through them. Ingenue escaped from China. Her cousin's race is called Zhujian. His racial talents are strength and sound waves, and he is proficient in the art of killing. BRC the second half. His expression changed slightly, and he quickly took out the Book of Mountains and Seas beside him. Not soon. In the Book of Mountains and Seas Beishanjing, I found records about Zhujian. 180 miles to the north, there is Shanjiang Mountain, with no vegetation on it. There is a beast, which looks like a leopard with a long tail, a human head with an ox's ears, and one eye. It is called Zhu Jian, Shanjia. When he is walking, he is holding his tail, and when he is living, he is holding his tail. His body was trembling, and there was a look of horror in his eyes. Actually, the reason why he went to such great lengths to arrest and interrogate Yan Jinyue was to get this information from her. That's it, they can finally lock in the identity of the monster that will come in the third round. It's just, according to the description in The Classic of Mountains and Seas, the animals are so powerful that their sound waves can penetrate the sky, and those who hear them will die suddenly. It's combat power. It is the strongest monster so far. Any one of the beasts can easily destroy an entire town. Compile the information on the monster, hold a press conference, and inform all countries to take precautions. He took a deep breath and made a decision quickly. This information is not valuable, and it will be discovered by various countries soon. It is better to release it in advance to remind other countries and build a good impression. That night, with the convening of the press conference in the United States, Zhu Jian's information was also made public. Countries around the world shocked. I quickly picked up the Book of Mountains and Seas to check the authenticity of what Jobs said. People, he was even more frightened, and all kinds of speculations were rampant. Where did the United States get this information? Have they already found traces of the monster? This is only the third round, and such a dual-talented racial monster has appeared? I just read the Book of Mountains and Seas, and this monster is really ugly. The uglier it is, the more terrifying it is. The divine ninjas of our Sakura kingdom can fight. Can you defeat Zhu Jian? The new trial has just begun. This information released by the United States is tantamount to a bombshell. A blow to the morale of all countries, especially the monsters in the third round are still lurking among the crowd, growing quietly and increasing their strength crazily. If they eat enough people promoted to the second level, the disaster caused will be far beyond imagination. China, live broadcast room. After the third round of trials began, tens of millions of netizens poured in. Communicate and discuss, share intelligence. I fantasize about catching the monsters this time in private and taking one of their parts as a family heirloom. Chapter 66. An opportunity for the whole country to rise. Damn it, have you seen the news? The United States said they have discovered the identity of the monster. What's going on? This time the United States discovered it earlier than we did. The United States is lying, right? It's only been 12 hours since this round of trials began, and they have discovered traces of the monster? It's not that the monster is super intelligent, at all. Weaker than humans? Are the monsters in the United States so stupid that they were exposed as soon as they arrived? In the live broadcast room, people in China have also seen the news in the United States. I was surprised at first. I can't help but question the authenticity of what the United States said. How could any monster be so stupid? It was immediately exposed as soon as it arrived. At least 2 more people can increase the strength. Oh no, China is so big and has a very high population ratio, so they should have the largest number of monsters coming. But so far, there were no reports of any sightings of the monster. What if the blind cat in the United States encounters a dead rat? One thing to note, I just checked Zhu Jian's information, and this monster actually has 2 racial talents. The undead are good at defense, and the imitators are good at change. This monster is proficient in power and sonic attacks at the same time. This is a bit tricky, if the United States said so. It's true, I'm not necessarily a monster's opponent in a one-on-one fight. Chatting, the people in China also became worried, and nothing more. It is different from people in other countries. With China at their back, they have never worried about their own safety. What they are worried about is that they cannot defeat monsters and cannot take parts from them to collect. In the folk, someone has already established a monster trading organization, secretly purchase monster parts at high prices, including nails, teeth, horns, feathers, scales, etc., even including the trading of monster organs. Some foodies even advocate using the meat of 001 undead and 002 imitators to cook delicious food. It is said that several top domestic 5-star restaurants have already done this. Monster Research Institute. Dean's office. The United States discovered the whereabouts of the monster so quickly and locked the identity of the monster? Yang Yemo looked at the news and was also a little surprised. This round of trials to IT has only been open for 12 hours. The response of the United States was faster than that of China. Dean, could it be a monster they made up casually from The Classic of Mountains and Seas? Zhao Ziyan was also confused. I can't say for sure. Yang Emo shook his head and did not underestimate the United States at all of the superpower that has been able to suppress China for so long. It's definitely not that simple. Maybe they obtained information about this monster from other sources. Forget it, don't worry about the United States. Yang Emo waved his hand and asked, how long will it take for the Book of Life and Death to fully recover? 1 hour and 12 minutes. Yang Emo nodded, subsequently picked up the Classic of Mountains and Seas and waited patiently. Cabinet, conference room. An emergency meeting is being held quietly. Several old men sat together, staring at the table intently, feeling extremely excited. On the table, there is a top-secret S-class file, which is the Controllable Nuclear Fusion Technology, submitted by Yang Emo. This technology is crucial to our country's technological advancement. An old man from the Ministry of Science and Technology spoke first, with an excited expression. As long as we can understand it thoroughly, China's technological level in all aspects can move forward. At least 50 years. The ascent of scientific and technological civilization. To a large extent, it is limited by energy efficiency. 2,000 years ago, humans used fuels such as firewood and hay. 1,000 years ago, humans used coal. Hundreds of years ago, oil used by humans. In recent years, in terms of energy utilization, natural gas, wind energy, solar energy, hydrogen energy, nuclear energy, etc. have been developed. Among them, nuclear energy, an epoch-making energy source, has played a huge role in promoting the development of scientific and technological civilization. Whether it is an aircraft carrier or a spaceship, all use nuclear energy. But nuclear energy in the modern sense all refers to the energy generated by nuclear fission, and nuclear fusion produces the energy it produces is more terrifying than nuclear fission. It's just that the energy generated by nuclear fusion has never been truly utilized. This difficulty to IT has troubled countries around the world for decades. IT also limits the progress of scientific and technological civilization, and now, with the Controllable Nuclear Fusion Technology, submitted by Yang Emo, IT is equivalent to helping China break the shackles of technological development and have room for further progress. This matter is of great importance. I plan to mobilize all experts and professors in the energy field across the country to set up a research group and strive to thoroughly digest this controllable nuclear power in the shortest possible time. Fusion technology. What do you think? The old man from the Ministry of Science and Technology pondered for a moment and then looked at everyone. Everyone looked at each other. One after another agreed. Obviously, understanding this technology as early as possible will be of great help to China's technological improvement. If the energy of nuclear fusion is completely controlled, the Book of Life and Death, and the Demon Mirror, should be able to activate instantly, right? One, you murmured. The eyes sparkled. Today, the Book of Life and Death, located in the northern border, is in the recovery stage, but limited by energy technology. Every time it is started, it takes more than 10 hours. The same goes for Demon Mirror. Instant response is not possible, not just the 2 tools to protect the country, but also the stone tablet. Another old man suddenly spoke. With a hint of expectation, Dean Yang said that every time the stone tablet is opened, a huge amount of energy is consumed, but the harvest is also huge. Just this, controllable nuclear fusion technology, is worth all the consumption. If we could bring out a technology comparable to controllable nuclear fusion every time, then, I thought of this. He couldn't help but swallow. He was so excited that he couldn't control himself. For China, this stone tablet is definitely a great creation. IT is even more astonishing than the physical improvement of all people in the first round of rewards. Until now, only then did they truly realize what Yang Emo said. Before a civilization trial, for some civilizations, it is a disaster, but for some civilizations, it is an opportunity for the whole country to rise. Jinling. In a dark alley. A beast-like figure was lying in a pool of blood, chewing with big mouthfuls. Red bloodstains were flowing at the corners of his mouth. From time to time he made a satisfied moan. I don't know how long it took. He just finished enjoying it and changed his posture. People stand up. In a blink of an eye, transformed into a young man. Pregnant women are indeed a delicacy in the world, especially the fetus in the belly. The innate energy has not dissipated, which is even more unique. The man licked his red lips and murmured to himself, although it has only been more than 10 hours since he arrived, he has already hunted 3 humans in secret. After devouring flesh and blood, the cultivation level has been slightly improved. No wonder so many people in the clan have signed up to participate in the civilization trial, compared to the practice of sitting still. This method of devouring human flesh is not only simpler and more direct, but also full of excitement. It is said, someone In the clan once participated in a trial of a certain Xianxia civilization, and his cultivation strength climbed directly to the level of the Demon King, the algorithm for converting into this world almost equivalent to level 6. Chapter 67, The most important weapon to control the country, the power of the Book of Life and Death. I don't know what level I will reach after finishing this experience. He smiled full of expectations for this. Later, picked up a mobile phone in a pool of blood, open it.ai in the browser. The word Huaxia was entered. I plan to first understand the situation in the country where I have arrived. In order to formulate a targeted destruction plan, whether to start directly with violence, or to cooperate with the Demon Clan in the first and second rounds to act together. What happened? All the monsters in the first 2 rounds were wiped out? After checking, his pupils shrank suddenly. He showed a look of horror. On the web page, everyone is happy to celebrate the news that China has passed 2 rounds of civilization trials in a row and received an SSS level evaluation. Perfect rating. There is actually a civilization that has received a perfect rating. His expression changed slightly, and he suddenly felt as if he had kicked an iron plate. The elders of the clan once said that the trials of civilization are extremely cruel among the heavens and worlds. It's rare for someone to get a perfect SSS rating, and that requires clearing out all the aliens in the territory, but if there is civilization, it can get a perfect rating. This shows that this civilization has unlimited potential and has a chance to survive at least 36 rounds of trials. Think of this. A chill surged from his heart. Where is Jin Yue? The news said that both the clan and the Kuru tribe were killed. He swallowed, his heart completely confused. A moment of panic, nothing else to worry about. He quickly stood cross-legged in a pool of blood, exercise racial secrets, send a message to his cousin Yan Jinyue to see if she is alive or dead. At this moment, a distant and clear voice suddenly sounded from the sky, carry out the heaven and earth, even louder and louder like a dragon roaring. What is this sound? His face darkened and he couldn't help but raise his head, but the next second the premonition of death came over my heart, and I gave a crazy warning, not good. Critical moment, his expression suddenly changed, and he quickly took out an amulet engraved between his eyebrows, activate it, blooming with crystal green light, cover the whole body. Click, a moment later, the amulet shattered in response, consuming all its energy. What was that sound just now? His body was shaking violently and he looked at the sky in disbelief. The face was full of horror. There was a flash of lightning just now, but if he hadn't used the amulet given to him by the clan elders, he might have died suddenly on the spot. Is this civilization so terrifying? A chill filled his heart, and the more he thought about it, the more afraid he became. But it's only about 10 hours, I just used one of my life-saving trump cards. He remembers, that's not what the people on the committee said when I signed up for the trial. What about the fragile technological civilization that was promised? What if the promise can be destroyed easily, as promised? It's all a fucking lie. Then, what the hell is that? Then immediately he also noticed that there seemed to be a full moon converging in the sky. The speed is getting faster and faster. It is hanging in the sky, reflecting the mountains, rivers, and land in China. The light falls. His disguise was actually discovered. Whoa, the siren suddenly sounded, from far to near. It becomes clearer and clearer. Yanjing Monster Research Institute. The Book of Life and Death has fully recovered. The database of the Book of Life and Death has captured the brainwave information of the alien race that descended this time. There are 198 monsters in the territory. The Book of Life and Death, book, the Wanzhou brainwave base station cluster responded and the erasure command was initiated. Erasure completed. A total of 197 monsters were eradicated. The database has detected that there is a monster that has not been wiped out, and it is located in Jinling. The Demon Mirror is partially revived, reflecting the area of Jinling. The monster's location has been locked, and the local police force has been synchronized. The demon hunting team is rushing to the scene. Listen to the reports from various departments. The corners of Yang Mo's mouth raised slightly, and he couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Not bad. The monsters in this round are relatively weak and can be easily dealt with by relying on the Book of Life and Death and Demon Mirror. In fact, with these 2 tools to control the country, as long as they don't encounter particularly difficult monsters, Huaxia can easily deal with them. Dean, the corpse of the monster closest to us has been sent to the laboratory. Zhao Ziyan walked into the office and reported. Yang Mo's expression lit up. Get up immediately, head to the lab. It's really the beast. Seeing the monster lying dead on the experimental table, Yang Mo's expression condensed and he recognized its identity at a glance. Surprisingly, it is, according to the Book of Mountains and Seas, there are bullocks with a human face and a leopard body, an ox's ears and one eye, a long tail, good at great strength, and making loud noises. This race, it is true that he has mastered 2 innate abilities. Even the weakest beast has a strength of at least 1,000 tons, and its sonic attack can penetrate a kilometer range. Everyone who heard it bled to death from their 7 orifices to eye in the past life. This monster brought heavy disaster to China, countless casualties. China has exhausted all means, but still failed to kill them all. But this time, science fiction Heavenly Plan came out, but it was easily suppressed. Let's start the dissection. Then, Yang Mo waved his hand, signaling the researchers to start taking action. Professional cutting instruments start soon. Then he cut the body of Zhu Jian into dozens of parts: the head, skin, hair, lower limbs, claws, single eyes, teeth. Any part of his body is the focus of scientific research. Even the cell tissues of the body were sliced and studied under a microscope. Dean, the 12-sided crystal found in the 002 imitator was not found in his body. Yang Mo nodded, as he had guessed. 002 The crystals in the imitator's body are not inherent to the Demon Clan. Actually, the strange power cultivated by the Demon Clan will not form so-called crystals or inner elixirs in the body. 002 A family of imitators, more like a chess piece dropped casually. Implant 12-sided crystals into their skulls and spread them to every trial civilization. The 12-sided crystal, the seeds of the immortal tree. What is the plan of the person behind it? Yang Mo frowned and couldn't help but think about it. Since the discovery of the connection between the immortal tree and the 12-sided crystal. He then started the cultivation plan: use monster corpses to feed the mysterious 12-sided crystal. Today, except for the corpses of monsters used for research, all the rest in China were swallowed up by this 12-sided crystal. But it is like a bottomless pit, without any change. Fortunately, another group of monsters came this time. There are 197 heads in total. They are being continuously transported to the Institute from all over the country. I hope that after devouring these monsters, the 12-sided crystal will change. Yang Mo murmured. If not, then he will have to find a way to hunt monsters abroad. Chapter 68 China's official announcement. The third round of trials has ended. At the same time, China, people everywhere heard the sound of the Book of Life and Death being activated, the clear and distant sound of dragon roar. If there is nothing echoing throughout China, especially, the people of Jinling even saw a full moon after hearing the roar of the dragon. After the experience of the first and second rounds, everyone realized what happened and rushed into the official live broadcast room of the Monster Research Institute. Hiss. Did the country directly activate the Book of Life and Death and kill all the monsters at once? Holy shit, my roommate just died suddenly and became a leopard with a human face, cow ears, and only one eye. The boss of my company was the same. He was going to deduct our wages, but he died without even letting out a scream. Hey, my dad said he secretly pierced an eyeball, but I can't contact him now. I'll show you the photos when I get in touch. Live broadcast room inside. The barrages are overwhelming and dense. Many people. I witnessed the sudden death of the monster on the spot and saw the monster that came this time. Human face and leopard body. 1 eye and 1 ear. It has a huge tail, several meters long. It is exactly the same as the description of Zhu Jian in the classic of Mountains and Seas. It is said that they also possess 2 major racial talents, are born with great strength, and can issue terrifying sonic attacks. It's a pity they have no chance to witness this scene. The Book of Life and Death comes out. All the monsters within the territory should have been suppressed and killed. No, it seems that another monster has escaped. I live in Jinling. The government just informed us not to go out easily. Yes, I am also from Jinling. All the local police have been dispatched. We are hunting this monster. The monster this time is so terrifying, it can turn people into blood mist with one punch. They ran to the outskirts of Jinling. In the live broadcast room, netizens in Jinling stood up and pointed out that there was another monster on the loose. Some people also witnessed how this crazy monster blasted an ordinary person into blood mist with one punch. The power of terror. You can smash the wall easily. Jinling officials have successively called on people not to have inflated self-confidence and participate in this encirclement and suppression operation. Jinling outskirts, under the cover of night. A crazy ferocious beast was running wildly on the asphalt road. Behind him, there are military trucks, combat loading vehicles, mobile armored vehicles, and helicopters locking in reporting points at high altitude. Damn. The figure cursed in a low voice, his face was full of anger and frustration. His majestic demon clan was actually chased to this point by these despicable humans. First the amulet was broken again, he was surrounded and hunted by this group of weak humans, all the way. He has clearly demonstrated his powerful, terrifying power, but these weak humans, not only were they not frightened, they were also surprisingly angry, clamoring to skin him and remove his bones. Enough. He suddenly stopped and glared at the pursuing troops behind him. A pair of giant tails thrown hard on the asphalt road, the road surface was suddenly shattered, and a slender crack was created in the ground. I didn't want to use this trick. His face was gloomy, showing a look of determination. Look up to the sky. Hull. Suddenly huge sound waves impacted the surroundings, sweeping a kilometer in radius. Roar. A terrifying sound ran through the sky, the first to bear the brunt. It is the troops chasing him from behind. Death. He smiled grimly. He was about to admire the tragic sight of these people with their internal organs shattered and their heads exploding. However, his rear was among the pursuing troops. Only one person roared, and everyone took out a black earphone-like object from their pockets. Put it in your ear. Then, boom! A rocket launcher fell from the sky. His location was accurately struck. This is impossible. He dodged away quickly, but his face was full of horror and disbelief. The sonic secret technique of their race, it has no effect? Roar. Having no faith in evil, he looked up to the sky and roared again, letting out a new round of roar. Terrifying sound waves sweeping the world. The air vibrated, the dust trembled, and the surrounding vegetation shattered out of thin air. It stands to reason any living creature, as long as it is within a kilometer range, there is no way to hide that he could only suffer severe damage from the sound waves. His internal organs were shattered, his head exploded, and he died, but the people behind him did not react at all. Boom. He fired another rocket launcher at him. He spat out a mouthful of blood. It was not because he was hit by a rocket launcher, but because he suffered the backlash of the secret technique. Although this is the secret technique of their race, but the power is huge, and every time it is used, it requires a certain price. With his current strength, can be used up to 3 times. No. I don't believe it. He roared, still refusing to believe that his racial secret technique had failed. Keep shouting. The sharp voice with a hint of hoarseness once again penetrated the world. A row of wild geese happened to fly over in the sky. It exploded into blood mist on the spot, fall to the ground, but the people chasing behind him. But as if nothing happened, he fired a series of rocket launchers at him with his backhand. Boom, boom, boom. A dense roar sounded in my ears after encountering backlash 3 times in a row. His reaction speed was much slower. Hit by a series of attacks, I was hit hard in an instant and couldn't help coughing up blood, and the other party obviously did not let him go. All kinds of long-range firepower locked onto him and poured out like a tide. Captain, he seems to have lost his resistance. A voice came from a distance. Next, military trucks and combat loading vehicles parked beside him. The leader is a middle-aged man, the face is determined, stepped on his head and took out the communication equipment. It seems to be reporting to someone. Dean, the fleeing monster has been successfully captured. Why, it's useless, he murmured the last sentence before his consciousness fell into silence. That night. 24 o'clock in the morning, the Monster Research Institute issued an announcement in an official name. Tell all the people of China. It has announced that the 3rd round of trials has ended. All monsters that have descended on China have been eliminated. Normal life and work will resume from now on. As soon as this news came out, it immediately shocked the whole world. People from various countries who have been in panic and fear are suddenly dumbfounded. Didn't the United States say that the monster that came this time was terrifying? What's going on? China announced that the trial was over. It's only been 24 hours, is it true? Although China has achieved perfect evaluation in the first 2 rounds, will you die if you don't brag? You solved the monster in just 1 day? Ha, this is how Chinese people are. We Sakura, the country, has not seen the shadow of this monster yet. For this announcement, the first reaction of people from all over the world was that they did not believe it. The people of Sakura country took the lead in becoming angry. After all, there was a feud between the 2 countries.